Hey, welcome back, and I got a fun little video for you today. We're going to be upgrading the rotors on the GT XCR to 180 millimeters. They are 160 millimeters since I bought it brand new, and I've decided now is a good time to upgrade. I probably should have done it a long time. There's a few spots where I just blow through the turns. Yeah, the trail goes straight or it turns, and I'll just blow through it. So compared to the Capra and some of the other bikes I ride with 180 millimeter or bigger rotors, so we're going to give these an upgrade and let's have at it. It's pretty simple stuff. Pop the wheels off, take the rotors off, and then I gotta tighten that up. More than likely readjust the calipers because they're probably going to be a little thicker. So now you have 6 star nuts on here on each wheel. You have to take these off. If you have a cinch style, there's a special tool that goes on that and clamps down on them. You can get adapters for those to put them on, so where you can run these rotors on that style hub. These tend to be a little cheaper, these 6-bolt ones, than the cinch style. Why? Who knows? It could be popularity. Most seem to be this, others seem to be the cinch style. I have an upcoming video where I convert one over with an adapter, so stay tuned for that as well. So I got one wheel off, but in the meantime, we got these brackets here. They're a little bit longer. I got these off Amazon. I'll leave links below. They're not affiliate links, just they're there for you in case you want to order what I bought. I'm worried about these front bolts though, as they seem quite long. I had this issue with the Ozark Trail when I upgraded it to 180 millimeters. They were way too long, and I went to Ace Hardware, couldn't find the proper bolts, and I wound up at a bike shop and they had something in the bin. So, but it comes with all the spacers and stuff, and so this will be your rear mount and the front mount. Then the rotors, the brand new rotors, just took them out of the package. But what you want to do is make sure you clean them. So I like to clean them before I put them on the bike, because any type of oils or anything that are on there from the factory, it'll clean that off and will prevent any chance of it from getting on the brake pad. You could put them on, get them, you know, on there and then clean them. But if you have any type of residue, it's going to get on your brake pad. So, and I'm not too crazy on like, oh my god, you might have oil in your fingerprints and all that. It is what it is. I've never had an issue with that before. You know, just give these a nice wipe down. They'll dry themselves because it's alcohol. And you're not trying to wipe the whole thing clean, you're just trying to get the braking surface here. This here is, let's see, it does 91% isopropyl alcohol. Typically I look for something in the 90s. If you go to stores like Dollar Tree, I've seen it 50%, which is, it's garbage stuff. Because you want the alcohol in there. The higher the concentrate, the better it's going to clean. 3D printing video coming up, I'll discuss that as well. The higher the isopropyl, the better it is at cleaning and keeping your print pads working. So got all those cleaned up, and let's get in here and see if we can't get these calipers loose while we're at it. Throw that on the floor for good measure. These are the original Avids from 2000. They look great. They've got a lot of miles on them, and they've just been an amazing, amazing brake setup for me. Avid's really the one that started the mechanical disc brakes. And then back then too, everything was weight. We were worried about how much weight you're putting on the bike. And so weight was coming off the bike, which is stark contrast to what we have today, where guys are putting bar in, plugs in with, you know, bacon bit kits. You're putting tool kits with your water bottle cages and everything else. It's just so much stuff going on. Man. Dropping everything today. So, yeah, as I was saying, you're just busy putting everything on the bike, loading it up with all the weight, GoPro mounts on top of that, and it's just a little crazy if you ask me. You know, it's such a stark contrast to what we used to do, you know, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But where I was going with that, so Shimano came out with the hydraulic brake, obviously, and that was well received, and everybody liked the feel of the hydraulics. You know, admittedly, it does have a better feel than mechanicals. I think when you're talking 160mm rotors, mechanical to hydraulic, you're really splitting hairs on which one works better. But it was weight. Weight was why I went with the Avids over the Shimanos. You know, it's just a lighter setup. I forget how many ounces. You know, it's been a few years. I've slept a couple times since then. But weight was the big thing, and I went with the Avids, and admittedly, I've been very, very happy. So no complaints out of the Avids. I'd buy them again, but now I'm debating upgrading to the Shimanos. It's just a backup bike for me, so I'll probably just do something like the MT200s. I think it's the 420s or the 4 pistons. Those can be had for a good deal as well. You know, it's a basic Shimano, either a 2 piston or a 4 piston. Budget friendly. So I got to keep my eyes open for those. May go that route. But what do y'all think? Leave a comment below. Let me know if you think I should stray from my Avids that I've had for all these years, 24 years, or if I should jump over to Shimano. It's like I did on the Ozark Trail. I put the Shimanos on there, and those were very, very nice upgrade over the mechanical. But it's a mechanical Walmart, so who knows. Now on the rotors, you'll want to look, you'll see an arrow. That's the direction the tire's turning. So make sure you get that in the right direction, because you will be adding a lot of force to them. So, you know, as you apply the brakes, you want to make sure it's designed to handle the force in the right direction. Some it doesn't matter. These it does. Now these are budget rotors. These aren't fancy, you know, super duper Shimanos or anything. They're just Amazon specials. I'm going to lay this here so I can knock everything off the desk. But it'll help me get these started a little easier. There we go. Yeah, it's a lot of turns to these. You can use an impact on it and speed it up. I've done that before, but I don't necessarily like running them in with the impact. A lot of things I like doing by hand because I can gauge by feel how it feels. So unless you're using a torque wrench, it's probably best to stay away from the power tools, because you can over torque things, you can strip them out, and you can break them. And one broken bolt here is disaster for the hub. And another thing I do that it probably doesn't matter because nothing's a tapered fit, I go crosswise just as if you're tightening up a lug nut. on a car, like if you change your tire. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then maybe get with your dad or a neighbor or somebody and say, hey, how do I change my tire? How am I supposed to tighten these lug nuts? And these bolts come pre-treated with blue Loctite on them because you don't want them coming back loose. So once you run them in, Loctite will hold them in. It's already dried to the threads. So at that point, it's kind of like a binding agent. You're not putting it on wet. Last bolt, here we go. All right. That even looks a lot better. Yeah, I like those. Let's get it back on here. Work myself into a corner, literally. Now I got that off like that. There we go. There we go. She's on there nice. Now next we're going to put the spacer on. I might be able to reuse these bolts because they were quite long. So I like that. Quite long bolts. And it's just going to be a matter of trial and error. So hopefully more trial than error. See if I can get you in here a little closer to watch this. I'm going to back these off on the inside here because it's got an adjustment on the inside. It's got the adjustment on the outside. And what's nice about this is there's no Allen wrench needed on these. It's just a little dial. You can get your fingers in there, turn it real easy. I've never had a problem with adjusting these. You see where it's going to bottom out on that. And that's where this comes in. And I might even have to space this up. So make sure you have your little dip towards the fork so it can clear the brake caliper. And oh yeah, see, already right there. I'm going to have to run some spacers through there just to get it to clear this. Correct? Yeah, sure do. Drop in more things. See, we have all these fancy spacers. Well, I could also use the ones that came with the Avids. Let's try these bolts anyway, since it's so far off. I'm going to try these. Now what these are is it's a cup and cone style. You got one concave, one convex, and it allows them to move and swivel. I think that'll be perfect. I don't know about the bolt length being perfect, but for now, this will be perfect. We're going to run these in. We're not going to torque these down. But we're going to get them on there, tighten them up. because these bolt holes go deep, but they don't go so deep that I can just run whatever bolts I want through them. My AliExpress Allen wrenches. My Allens, is that what I should call them? I like the ball ends on a regular Allen. I never had much luck with the T's because where am I going to get a T? Yep, see, I'm already hitting there, bottoming out the screw. That's all right. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? But this also allows me to run it in and not throw a whole lot of torque at it either. You know what? This handlebar doesn't want to behave on me today. She wants to flop around, so she's getting strapped down. Maybe not. There we go. Where are you going? Nowhere. Yeah, now you can probably see it much better too. So this one comes through a good ½ inch at least. If I can get those pads lined up. Back that bolt out so I can get this lined up. Now this is also a really good time to put on new brake pads. I'm not doing it because these are relatively new anyway, but there we go. I want to take a good look at them. These are definitely going to need to be centered up. Oh Lord. So loosen these. Make sure you pull the brake tight. So the braking force centers the caliper. I like to just do a light snug on both. Nice and even. Then I can come back, crank them down better while still holding the brake lever. And this should, I do mean should, line it up with your rotor. And then all you have to do is adjust your inner and outer pad for your clearance. All right, so I had to use some cutting dikes and trim a little tab off of the brake pad where it comes down. It was hitting on the bracket. Darndest thing I've not seen before, but hey, I had that problem. And now I've seen it. So let's come over here. We're gonna look more at this rear wheel here. Yeah, rear brake upgrade, take two. This started out with me upgrading my rotors to 180 millimeters. Turned into a disaster when I used the reorder function on Amazon. It's been a while since I had ordered one of these spacers, and they apparently changed it from a 180 to a 203 millimeter one. I don't know. The other one worked. It's on the Ozark Trail, labeled 180. This one's labeled 203. So I don't know, but we're gonna get this swap back out, because in the meantime, you see I had swapped it over to the 160 so I could keep riding. But these are relatively cheap, you know, $10 or cheaper for these spacers. They come with the fasteners and all. Still have my rotor. I hermetically sealed it in this bag because I didn't want to have to wipe her all down with alcohol again. But I'm going to save you all the stuff that we've already looked at, me swapping out the rotor and everything, and 3, 2. Okay, rotor's mounted up. Again, on the brackets, there's an arrow there pointing one way, and that's up. That's not necessarily a direction, because how are you going to figure that out? So make sure you get that lined up. Still using the original Avid bolts on here, because I like how they're tapered and they match the front. And these will be a perfect fit, no adjustment on the bracket. Now to get the wheel on, hopefully I don't struggle too bad, on a stand. All right, wheels on. Yeah. Okay. We have the new bolts and spacers. I'm going to use that instead of the Avid equipment on the caliper, though. Well, you know what? Let's see how she sits on there first. We'll back this off a little on the inside. Back off a little on the outside, so we know we get a good fitment on this. There we go. And we see it's going to drag the top of the caliper, so I need the spacers to be between here. Sometimes you get a ticking when you do this. You might have it all assembled, be like, oh, it's good, and you still get this ticking. It almost sounds like a spoke. It's not the spoke, it's the rotor. The tips of the vents and the shape of it will be hitting off the top of the caliper. Maybe you'll never run into that. I've run into that. So I'm not a smart man, Jenny. But that's one way to know that your spacing is definitely off. Oh yeah, see, these original Avid bolts are going to be way too long. That's why we're going with the other ones. So we have to sort them out. And pretty cool, they come color coordinated. I got a silver and a gold cap and cone. These actually seem like they might be just a tick taller too, so probably a little better design for this. Oh wow. Yeah, see, these are barely going to work. Now once I get the, yeah, that'll be fine, because once I get the crush washer or the lock washer smashed down on there, I'll have plenty of bite. There we go. Go into your home. Ah, so they do have shorter ones. Okay, I see now. So this set's kind of unique. I've not seen this in other sets of spacers. On these convex washers, there's two different heights. I don't know if you can see there. Maybe that helps focus. Yeah. So I have a taller one in the front, which seems good, but it does seem like it does push it up just a little bit much. And I only need to come off it a little bit. So on the rear, I'm going to use the short one. Then I'm going to go back in and put the short one on the front. And that'll also give me a little better bite on the bolt too. And yes, I could have easily installed this caliper without the wheel on, but you need to get a good grasp of where the brake pads are going to lie on this, especially while you're setting it up. Bring that out a little more. Oh yeah, this is going to be nice. Let's see, get this out a little. Give our brakes a good squeeze. Well, I'm going to bring this inner in about 4 clicks. Bring this in a little bit until I can get a good bite. There we go. Get a good bite on the lever. Because it doesn't really do me any good to bring this all the way in and have it snug against the inner pad if I can't back the inner pad off a click and get my clearance that I need. Because that dragging right there, that's going to be the inner pad. So now I can back it off a click or 2 or 3 or 4. And sometimes you just gotta play with it. Yeah. Do your old manual eyeballs. Sometimes that works out better than anything. Just give it a smidge, not a smudge. He's mean. There we go. Sometimes I go easy. If you watch my videos, you'll see me, boom, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going back through, getting these fine tuned. And yeah, these are wanting to fight me a little bit. Oh. Let's see. And you gotta make sure your rotor's not warped either. Even brand new rotors can be warped. I mean, you've seen how Amazon packages some stuff. They'll just put them in a bubble mailer and say, here's your rotors. So you might need to straighten them out right off the bat. I've 3D printed a little wrench you can put over it. Yeah, this is nice right here. I'm going to have to bed these in a little bit to this rotor, I'm thinking. This would have been the benefit of putting new pads on. There's a little bit of pad kind of overhanging a little bit and catching on this. These are relatively new pads, but they were bedded in and broke in for the other rotors. And just that little 1mm kind of overlap there seems to be rubbing on this. So really this is just going to be taking it out and bedding them into the new rotors. So probably the first few stops, get them a little warm, and it'll rub that right off, because it's just a little bit right in there that's touching on them. So, but we're spot on. You can see your air gap in there. The lever feels real nice. And so I'm ready to ride this with some 180mm rotors. Now maybe I won't blow my turns. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, like and subscribe. Thanks for hanging on and watching the whole build.